Okay, so as always, find your seat and take a moment to settle in. You might check in with your posture, starting at the very bottom where your body meets the support below you, and then work your attention up the spinal column, following the natural curvature of the spine, all the way to the base of your skull. You might wave your spine a little bit, feel into the curves and see if you can find a point of effortless balancing. Shoulders are relaxed and open. Hands rest where they're comfortable. And then maybe see if you can relax the muscles around your eyes and your cheeks and your jaw. And simply let your face hang a little bit. Try not to hold it in place. And simply trust that it will be where it needs to be. And then find your breath. And see if you can find it and arrive immediately. You might rest your attention on the expansion of the abdomen or your chest, the movement of air through your nose or your throat, and simply tend to the body breathing. And if your eyes were closed, open them for a moment and realize, as a matter of fact, that the air you breathe, the air that goes inside of you, inside your lungs, is not separate in any way or at any point from the air that fills the room and the space around you. There is nothing special about the air in your lungs. It is the same air. And you're breathing, you're inhaling, you're exhaling, really is simply a circulation of that air in the place where you are. Breathing in, breathing out, air circulating, waving. See if this changes anything for you. Now you can close your eyes and breathe. Good. Today we're going to start formally training our concentration, introducing some attentional structuring on purpose. And we're going to do this by means of breath counting. So when I say attentional structuring, what I mean is that we will have a task, a concentration-dependent task. And this task will offer us clarity of the things to do and the next step to take. If we do it right, it will be somewhere at the edge of our comfort and capability. And it will offer us immediate feedback. And this configuration of attentional structure tends to be conducive to concentration, especially static concentration, where we are staying focused on a given task, whatever that task may be, in our case, counting of breaths. And so the practice is quite simple. Just as you have been resting your attention on your breathing up to this point, you will continue to do so, except you're going to count your breaths, counting 1 at every inhale, and then 1 at every exhale, and then 2 at the next inhale, and 2 at the exhale, and then 3 at the next inhale, 3 at the exhale, and then 4 and 5, all the way up to 10. And once you reach 10, you simply start again. And that is it. The only caveat is if you get lost anywhere along the way, or distracted, or lose your place, you simply start again at 1. Spend a little bit of time experimenting with this. Rest your attention on your breathing and count your breaths 1 to 10, and then start again. Don't try to control your breath. Don't try to shape it. Don't try to make it deep and long so that your count to 10 lasts a minute. Just let your breath do what it does. Let your body breathe as it does without you. And almost passively count your breaths. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, and so on. So one of several things will have happened. You might have found this incredibly easy and not challenging at all to get from 1 to 10 without getting distracted and simply remaining concentrated on the task. You might have felt that all that was going on in your mind really was counting your breaths from 1 to 10 and not really see what the fuss is about. Alternatively, if you have been paying very close attention, you might have realized or gotten an inkling of just how much shit there is going on in your mind while you're trying to do a simple task like count 10 breaths. You might have felt just how fickle your attention is and how tenuous your concentration is. You might have lost count several times, or at the very least realized that somewhere around 4, 5, you were elsewhere. This is fine. This is how it's meant to be. And every time you notice this distraction, every time you notice this wandering and bring your mind gently back to counting your breaths, that's one repetition in our training cycle. So try again, keeping this in mind, because it is a matter of fact of subjective experience that your mind will be full of all sorts of goings on. Our minds are just full of stuff all the time. And usually, when we think that our mind is empty except for the task at hand, we are so distracted and take that distraction at face value or for granted as just what it is to be alive that we don't even notice it. This matters. So try again and consider that in this context, concentration isn't so much about sticking firmly to a task at the exclusion of everything else, such that your mind is empty except for the task of counting your breaths. Concentration is more a skill of unsticking over and over again and returning to counting your breaths. And so a concentrated mind is not so much an empty mind as much as it is a non-stick mind. Try again and see how non-stick you can be. And of course, when I speak and interrupt a train of thought or a fascination with a sound you may have heard, or an itch somewhere, or a pain somewhere, simply leave it be, unhook, and gently bring your mind back to the task at hand, counting your breaths. 1, 1, 2, 2. What this simple task of concentration allows us to do is to experience and see firsthand that our minds are like, well, puppies, really, essentially being pulled around by attention grabbing and shiny things, even when we have a very simple job to do. Count your breaths. And if we don't see this, if we expect that a concentrated mind will be empty, we're going to be surprised and disappointed. Try again. Find your breath and simply count. And every time your puppy of a mind wanders off after a shiny attention-grabbing object, simply bring it back. Gently unhook, let go, and simply bring it back to counting your breaths. So this breath counting practice is an excellent tool for training and sharpening concentration. It allows us to practice attentional structuring. It allows us to clearly see how our minds and attentions work. It is easier to see how much our minds wander when we try to make them not wander. But it is also a very useful honing tool. You might think of a chef who hones her knife every time she goes to use it. You can use the breath counting exercise to hone your attention before practice or when you need it. I suppose the key difference is that a chef uses her knife in the kitchen, whereas your blade is wielded all the time. I guess honing is all the more important then. In the last couple of minutes, let's have some silence and simply start again. Find your breath and start counting. Simply notice distractions. Unhook, let go, and return to the task at hand. Feel free to keep doing this as long as you want. And also, you might run this practice several times or several days in a row. Getting reps in on this work is really important. The more you do it well, the better. And then when you're ready, just open your eyes, wiggle about, and as you get on with your day, see if you can take an opportunity for a little bit of attentional honing and attentional structuring at some point through the day.